Good day everyone, welcome back. Today we'd be taking a look at something different. This is ICM's Leichttraktor Rheinmetall 1930. Now for those of you who aren't familiar with the tank, this was made popular in the game World of Tanks and is the first one you would be using when you go down the German tech tree line. Subsequently, it is affectionately called the LOL Tractor by World of Tanks players. Now, as always, we'd be taking a look at the sprue and the parts, and I'd be giving some comments and feedback along the way. Without further ado, let's get into it. From the get-go, we have here the major parts of this kit. Here, you have the hull floor, the hull side, and this plate right here is an external plate that goes between this and the suspension. So on closer inspection, you can see that there are good surface details already for the bolts and hinges. And then the other parts here, you can see these are the mud guards, hatch, gun and coaxial assembly part. This is the turret bottom, the front hatch of the hull or the front panel, the turret sides, the rear panel for the hull, and the turret top. These are more hatches and assemblies for the top of the hull. And this part right here also goes on the top. It's a cone-shaped piece. And then next off we have here the other side of the hull, another plate, and also the top part of the hull. As you can see, there's a fair amount of surface detail there. And this is the spacer that you would see between this side piece and also the external plate. Now the thin ones you see here are the antenna railings that go around the side of the tank. This is the engine deck hatch, and the grills are individual pieces that you would be assembling later on. Now the 37mm gun is one piece molded. However, around the end piece, you would have to attach the other, which is here. This, as you can see, is the coaxial MG that's in the turret, and they do give you fair amount of detail for the interior of the turret, including the main gun breech. Other parts include the exhaust, as you can see here, and the pipe connecting to it. Here we have the running gear sprues, and as you can see, there are three of them. They're mostly identical. That's because this tank, the Leichttraktor, does have a lot of road wheels in its suspension. So here you have all these are road wheels. They're pretty small, and these are the suspension arms that go on the sides. You also have here the return rollers for the track, and also this one would be the optics or the sights on top of the turret. And as you can see, the small part right here would be the headlight. Other parts include external details for the hull and the turret, as well as the grills for the engine hatch. The two big wheels you see right here are for what you would normally see as the idler wheel and the drive sprocket. So I'll just show you. Most of them are identical in nature and are more external parts, road wheels, idlers, as well as return rollers. Also here, and these are the other grills that you would be attaching to the engine hatch. The last contents of this box include a clear sprue for the headlights, which would give you nice detail once you finish painting the interior of the headlights. And then the tracks are in individual pieces, 4 links in total, and you just have to glue them together on the ends to make one whole length. Oh, and as you can see, there is a fair amount of detailing and not a lot to clean up on the tracks, even around the rear, which wouldn't really be seen that much. There isn't a lot to clean up. Now, ICM's construction manual is pretty neat, as you can see. Gloss paper for the front page and also the back. Then you would also have a nice image of the Leichttraktor, and it's also colored. And then here you have a quick background. As you can see, it's one of the first German tanks. And there's a note to preserve the secrecy of the named Leichttraktor or Leichttraktor in English. So it was designed by 2 firms, Krupp and Rheinmetall, and this is the Rheinmetall version. Now it is worth mentioning that this was made in secrecy because at the time, Germany was still under the Treaty of Versailles, and it basically forbade them from owning a large military force and also having tanks. So this was made in collaboration with the Soviets. As you can see, this was done, tested in Kazan firing field. And yeah, the name Leichttraktor was given, or Leichttraktor, just to throw off anybody who would be spying on them. So here are specifications of the tank. As you can see, there's the combat weight, the crew, measurements of the tank, the armament, which is a 37mm, and a coaxial MG13. So here you have a color call out. As you can see, it's just Revel and Tamiya. And then coming around inside, you can see these sprues. There are about 6 sprues in total, and also the tracks. Most of the parts are already here, and then the sub-assemblies right here. Then you can see the decals right here, German cross, and there are only 3 of them, not a lot of tactical markings, as this was only a prototype and test vehicle and did not see any combat whatsoever. So the instructions right here are pretty plain and simple. Most of the assemblies are there, and the illustrations are spot on. As I mentioned earlier, the hull has multiple pieces, so you assemble the top, the side, the bottom, and also the front and rear panels. And the important piece right here would be the running gear and the suspension. As you can see, there are about 3 per side, and then the return rollers right there, and the spacer and the external plates. So you wouldn't really have to worry about fitting the tracks in, as they just roll over the entire length. So this plate doesn't really get in the way of detailing the tracks and weathering. So once that's done, you go around to the turret, and as I mentioned, there are good pieces for detailing the inside of the turret with the coaxial MG and also the gun breech. Now after doing all that, you have yourself a Leichttraktor, and these are the antenna railings. A word of advice, do be careful when detailing this, as you saw earlier, they are pretty thin. So once that's completed, you have yourself a Leichttraktor, and around the rear you can see a colored version with the camo scheme and colors called out. So that's it for today's inbox review video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a thumbs up, but if you didn't, leave a thumbs down. And let me know down in the comments below what you think of this tank, if you have it, if you plan to get it, or any feedback in general. And as always, stay safe, keep modeling, and until next time, goodbye.